At this point, it's almost common knowledge to ask a singular question in regards to super fighting heroes and villains. Yeah, they're cool and all, but can they beat Goku? Usually it's just a joke, because not a chance in heck they're winning against such a strong fighter like him. But there are a few exceptions to that rule, of course. For example, take Saitama from One Punch Man. His power level is literally in the title. So, what if we grabbed him from his world and dropped him in the world of Dragon Ball? What chance would he have against the might of the Saiyans and their allies? Dragon Ball X One Punch Man seeks to answer that question, so how does it all unfold? Our story starts with Vegeta, training at his hardest in the canyons far away from his home. He's out here on Bulma's order to get out of the house and make way for Trunks and his own trainer. Although a little bit annoyed at the situation, he bites his own tongue and stays put, thinking that training outside has made him Mr. Sometime. That's when the man himself quite literally drops in out of nowhere. In this empty canyon, Saitama the One Punch Man trugs up to Vegeta and asks for direction for the nearest convenience store. Confused, Vegeta intentionally tells Saitama to back off and stop interrupting his training. But then, he notices the ungodly amount of ki radiating off of Saitama. Endless fighting power apparently. Vegeta's tone immediately changes, now eager and engaged this odd guy in a single combat. But Saitama's as clueless as he can be, he still just wants to go his own way to the supermarket, telling Vegeta to chill out and the like. Regardless, Vegeta charges him head first, fist fully balled. But Saitama dodges it effortlessly, much to Vegeta's shock. Then another dodge from a kick. Then he reads his palms in a defensive position, blocking every single one of Vegeta's punches in a fist flurry. Saitama goes on the attack, but Vegeta transports himself away and the two shoots into the sky, with Saitama even going as far to outpace Vegeta's flight and catching him off guard in midair. There are no words exchanged, but the two are bewildered by each other's sheer power. Vegeta then assumes the role of artillery as he flies up even further to blast his opponent with a barrage of ki blasts. They might as well have been lemons, as Saitama swats them away with nothing more than swats from his own bare hands, bursting on the ground around him. But that's not the end of it, as Vegeta charges up and lets off a colossal Gallic gun, one that even makes Saitama acknowledge that he needs to up his game. And up his game he does, sending a fist directly through the cannon and disparing it all the way to outer space. In the shape of his fist, of course. The proud Vegeta is incredulous at the display of power, and he demands to know Saitama's great secret. Like there even is one that grand. Saitama even goes to admit himself. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run each day. He even chalks Vegeta's jealousy of the secret of the fact that his hair is still mostly intact, suggesting if he were to go bald, then it will be a fair fight. That offends Vegeta a lot. He gets ready to go even Super Saiyan against him when Bulma is calling. Dinner's ready and she's wondering where the heck is Vegeta, so like a good husband, he cuts short with their little showdown. He formally introduces himself to Saitama and they exchange a phone number so they can fight again properly someday, when there's no interruptions. Then he shoots off back home to Bulma's house, ruminating on the fight and how strong Saitama truly is. He wonders how lucky he was to have managed to dodge that one punch, when he passes right by a Satan market with a huge discount going on. Wouldn't you know it, Saitama manages to find that Satan market. On the way out, one of the cashier hands up a voucher for a certain martial arts tournament with the ultimate prize of being 5 million. With the grand prize that lucrative, Saitama doesn't hesitate to sign up. Fast forward to the day of the Tenkaichi Budokai. The deal is that the 12 of the 84 applicants have been chosen to battle in the bracket, the winner of which will be able to directly challenge Mr. Satan, the organizer. But it seems as if there's only one victor in the cards. Mr. Satan himself has been fixing matches with none other than Boo in the past, but recognizes that the audience is getting tired of Boo winning the brackets only to lose to him all the time. This time, Mr. Satan asked for the final match to be fixed against Boo to make a way for a new challenger. I wonder who could end up being. Saitama is a contender in the first match, going up against a mature Isada. Saitama doesn't get much of a fanfare for his debut, even amongst the huge crowd gathering to watch the tournament. As soon as the fighters begin to get on the battlefield, Saitama instantly shuts down the vengeful Ida Sari's attempt at trash talk, in time for the battle begin. In perhaps the shortest battle in the tournament's history, Ida goes for a murder kick which Saitama dodges with each to a counterattack with one punch. It sends Ida out of the ring pretty much instantly, securing Saitama's his first victory and really opening the audience's eyes to the potential of this guy has. In reality, Saitama feels kinda disappointed knocking out his opponents for rounds 2 and 3 with no effort at all. But it's when he comes into this finals match and that he experiences a challenge against Boo. There's a mutual excitement between the fighters, both seeking a challenge, and as the match begins, they waste no time in getting grappled with each other. Saitama tries to end the fight before it begins, but Boo reattaches his head to dodge with a one punch. Amazing, Saitama opens up the window for a sucker punch from Boo. One of Mr. Satan's attendants wake him up from his slumber, informing him that one of his amazing fight is going on. Satan realizes that Boo isn't throwing the match, nor is he trying to be able to at this point, as the both are going all out on each other. Within the chaos, Saitama manages to grab the apple hinge on Boo's head and use him to spin him around and throw him to the floor before bearing him down with a huge punch. Before he can finish Boo off, he gets bound by this weird bubblegum substance that comes out of his body but tears himself easily. Using the shock factor to finally deliver a full power punch to Boo, it's strong enough to literally blast a hole through his body. Saitama worries that he might have killed the guy, but he manages to stand up and plug a hole with his own body again anyways. With the end of the battle in sight, Satan tells Boo to scrap the fixed fight and try as hard as he can to beat Saitama. But it doesn't matter as a final punch from Saitama results a ring out for Boo. Saitama wins the final match and gets the honor of fighting against Mr. Satan, but the reigning champion doesn't seem to be all too keen on defending his title. The challenger literally ripped holes through other contenders after all. Worrying that Saitama may be measuring up as a fighter at the level even the Z fighter, Satan swallows his fear and heads into the ring without even so much breaking from his last match. It seems this fighter has either very high stamina or very little need to extend huge amounts of energy. The crowd is completely split. The cheers for each fighter cancel each other out entirely. Saitama, however, notices that there's far less to Satan than meets the eye. He's completely lost his composure and can't stop sweating despite his big monologue he puts on before the fight, dissing Saitama to the core. The fight itself is over as soon as it starts. All it takes is a tiny flick from Saitama to get knocked out on Satan, and that is that. For about 5 seconds on the countdown, Psych standing up again, he goes for another counterattack. A kick straight for the face, but Saitama's shiny head doesn't even flinch. A stiff uppercut in retaliation knocked down Satan a second time. But even then, thanks to the cheers of his adoring fans, he finds the strength to stand up again. With the cheers of his name echoing through the entire arena, he keeps getting knocked back with each attempt on Saitama. Saitama, annoyed by this lack of drive to fight, asks Satan to hit him with a move that actually means something. Spurred on by this challenge, Satan decides to pull out the kick that he's been training on the hardest, the one that got him where he is currently. It's a clean hit. As the kick connects directly to Saitama's face, the One Punch Man falls to the ground. Even though he can still fight, he doesn't want to anymore. He's seen enough. Saitama forfeits the match, meaning Satan retains his title of the World Martial Arts Champion. As Satan goes to talk his opponent after a match was called, Saitama notes that it was the sheer willpower of the attack, not its physical strength, that ended up defeating him, and he goes on to encourage Satan to never lose sight of victory. Later, after all the match's spectacle is finished, Satan agrees that he'll give Saitama the prize money, all 5 million of it. But who's Saitama telling this story to, though? None other than his disciple, Genos, back in his own apartment on his own world. Genos finds the adventures of Saitama he had with the Dragon Ball crew incredible. Saitama suggests that with his cool 5 million, they go out for a Yuki Nuku as a treat, but Genos raised an excellent point. 5 million of what exactly? These Satan issue bugs sure aren't yen. Speaking of Satan, a few days after the tournament, people of Satan City recognize the champion himself as he's out for a morning run, enjoying what it feels like to actually put in the work to fight. This is all undercut though when he accidentally steps on Dog Turd. This is a tale set in Saitama's own world, back when he was still young and training to be a superhero. Having just saved some bystanders from a mysterious being, he's met with a surprise when he states heroics just being a hobby for him, which causes him to wonder if maybe it's time for him to be looking for the part, i.e., like a traditional hero. That's when an odd spacecraft courses through the upper atmosphere and lands not too far away. In the panic, everyone believes to be aliens, and Saitama checks the situation out for himself, speeding off into the meadows, getting closer to the craft. It opens up and he comes face to face with a strong platoon of fighters from none other than Frieza's force. Initially, they believe that the planet Earth is perfect for Frieza and his men to colonize, and despite the large number of inhabitants, they don't consider the place much as a threat at all. That's when Napple, one of the soldiers, notices an extremely high power rating not too far off. Saitama watching from a not-so-safe distance. He's amazed at the prospect of actual real-life little green menacing aliens popping up on Earth, but thinks that they're pretty nasty. Despite Napple's scouter being broken, he elects to finish the human off quickly with a single blast from his arm cannon, which he dodges just in time. Saitama wonders if he can beat these odd beings, as the Frieza Force marvel at however the heck he managed to dodge such a fast shot. He wastes no time punching the invaders off to the horizon one by one. First Napple, then Apul, and then Naom. Shu and the others charge at him all at once. He's able to fend them off with a sharp series of consecutive punches, and just when he thinks it's over, one of the invaders gets a direct hit from an arm cannon, which only damages his shirt. This is just a distraction though, as Napple recovers and puts him in a headlock at arm cannon point. Not about to let such a strong person survive this encounter, he gets ready to finish off Saitama when someone else intervenes. A certain Namekian dressed in a clean white robes grabs Napple and throws him into the air, incinerates him with a single blast of energy. Damn space trash. Saitama looks up at this Namekian, Piccolo, in amazement. After the two introduce themselves, Piccolo formally thanks Saitama for holding the Frieza Force off for so long and minimizing the extent of the damage they would have dealt with. Thinking about his encounter with the mysterious beam from earlier, Saitama asks him if he's able to also act as a hero in his own free time. Piccolo doesn't, but notices Saitama's potential to do so, and taking advantage of his lack of clothes, he used his ability to give Saitama a proper hero costume passed down from an old friend of Piccolo's. It's here where the Namekian officially hurls Saitama as a true hero, christening him as the Great Satan Man, which sounds awfully familiar. As the two depart, they can reflect on their own encounters. Piccolo acknowledges that Saitama is on the verge of greatness, and Saitama realizes that wearing a cape isn't half bad actually. In the present day, we can see that Piccolo's gift for Saitama really has rubbed off on him, and as he stares down at the might of the Red Panda army, all by himself, he's finally knitted out his own suit and cape. And that's all for this volume. Stories continues in the next one, which we will cover soon. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Bro, and I will see you guys next time. Until then, peace.